Hello. Yeah. Okay. Hope everyone can hear me. So welcome to part 7, right? I forgot to change the title here. Let me quickly change that. Okay. So welcome to part 7 of the Spring Boot plus React.js streaming series. Okay. So today, what are we going to do? So today is going to be exciting. We are going to look at module 4. We completed module 3 yesterday. So today we'll be looking at the front-end project. Okay. So a quick recap or overview on what we are doing so far. We are doing a to-do kind of application. So this, whatever you see here is like Microsoft To-do, right? It's Microsoft To-do. And here you can, add tasks, delete tasks, update values. So we are kind of creating a similar application using Spring Boot and React.js. Okay. So far we have completed 3 milestones. The first milestone was creating the backend project, the Spring Boot application. The second milestone was creating the REST endpoints for all the APIs, and then we did JUnits in the third milestone, and we completed it yesterday with the JUnits and global error handling. And today we are going to do the front end project setup. Okay, so I'll show what we are going to do today. So these are the items. This is the agenda for today's project, right? So we'll be doing a project scaffolding using Vitejs. Okay, so Vitejs is what it's called, the framework name. Then we will do entity setup. Okay, entity is another library. It's a front-end library, component library. I'll explain all of that in detail. Then we'll understand grids in entity. Okay, and then we'll create a basic to-do form with just title, description, priority. So if you have been following so far, we have other priorities, properties as well in for a to-do, something like status, due date, created time, updated time. All of these are there, but we are going to focus only on 3 items today. Okay, because it's going to be a lot of new things which we are going to learn today, so I don't want to put all of that in. Okay, so if you see the where is it, this one. So this is how our application is going to look like. Okay, we are going to create a basic application like this with the title here, task tracker project, and then we will have an input field to enter the title of the to-do. We will have a drop down for priority. Okay, this is going to be a drop down. I don't know how to draw a drop down here. Okay, so this will be a drop down to select priority like low, high, and low, medium, and high. And in the description, this will be a text area where you can write the description. Okay, and there will be a create task button using when you click it, it should insert the task to do item into the DB. Okay, we won't be doing fetch items today, as in like whatever item we create needs to be listed below. Okay, that part we will do in the next part of the stream. Okay, so I hope all of that is clear. And here are some hi Jatin, welcome back. Yesterday I was unable to attend. Hey, no problem, thank you for joining today. So we are starting front end today. Hope you like it. Okay, fine. So some, what do you say, housekeeping stuff. The full screen videos link is there in the vertical videos description. Then the GitHub page link is there in all the video descriptions, and the playlist link is also there in the description. Okay, you can watch all of the remaining parts of this series in the playlist. Okay, fine. So with all of that out of the way, let's start. So first thing we are going to do is Vitejs project scaffolding. Okay, so what is Vitejs first of all? So for any project, we need any language. Okay, we need a framework. So when we did Spring Boot, if you remember, we did something called a starter, Spring Starter, right? Like start.spring.io. Similarly, for React.js, there are some starters like there is create React app. Okay, this that used to be there. It's called as CRA or create React app. Okay, this is what it was used to be called, but then it went out of it got deprecated. Nobody uses it anymore because Vitejs came. Okay, so there are other scaffolding items also, but these are like the two major items. So there is one video in even on the channel even which shows the difference between create React app and Vitejs. Like there's like a huge difference. So Vitejs is much better. So we are going to do that. So for Vitejs, what we will do is we'll go to Vitejs website. Okay, so Vitejs. So if I search for Vitejs, okay, you can see that the first thing it says vit.dev, right? So if I go into it, it will give you a command. So yeah, if I click on get started here, there's a get started button, and let me zoom in. Okay, if I scroll down, yeah, if I keep scrolling down, so it says here, right, scaffolding your first Vite project. So this is what we want. Okay, so we want to run this command. So this will create you all the structure required for your project. Okay, let me copy this, copied, and let me go to command prompt or terminal. Okay, then I hope it's big enough. Okay, so let me go to my codes folder, task. Okay, I created a folder for front end. Inside this, I'll paste that command. Okay, the command is npm space create space vite at latest. Okay, let me hit enter. So it asks some basic details like it needs to install the following packages. Okay, to proceed, I'll say yes and hit enter. Okay, and it's showing some warning. I think you can ignore it. Then it's asking the project name. Okay, so I'll call it task tracker frontend. Okay, so inside that there is an option to select the framework. Okay, so there is vanilla JS. That is not what we are going to do. There is Vue, React, all of this, right? So we are going to create a React JS application. So I'll go switch down to React JS, hit enter. Okay, again it will ask, do you want TypeScript or JavaScript, or like what framework do you want? Okay, so for this I will go with TypeScript. Okay, so TypeScript is like a plus version of JavaScript. It gives type checking. Okay, so that also I'll explain when it comes to that. Okay, then it asks use roll down Vite and it's experimental. I'll say no because I want the stable version. Okay, and it's asking install with npm and start now. I'll say no. Okay, because I'll show how to manually do it. Fine. So with that we have created a folder. So if I hit ls, you can see that it created a folder called task tracker frontend. Okay, so in my VS Code I will go to that folder. Okay, if I hit okay, I'll go to terminal and click new terminal. Okay, in here I'll cd to frontend and then task tracker frontend. Okay, so this is where the project is. Now I'll just run npm space run space dev. Okay, remember this command, it's npm space run space dev. Okay, hit enter. It fails. So why it failed is because Vite is not found. Okay, so before running that I need to run npm install. Okay, fine. So install will actually install all the dependencies, the Vite dependency, or if it needs any other dependencies, it will install all of that. Okay, so it is happening now. Okay, and the installation is complete. Now I will run npm space run space dev. Hit enter. And it failed. I think it's because my Vitejs is Node.js is very low. So it says you are using Node.js 18.2, right? And Vite requires Node.js 20.19 or 22.19. So what I'll do is I will install Node.js 20. So let me see if I have nvm. So nvm is the node version manager. Let me see nvm space list. Yeah, I have some versions. So I have 20.0 in my system. I have 20 20.5.0 in my system. I have 22 also. Okay, so I'll use 22. So how to switch to that? I'll do nvm space use space 22. Okay, so it says now using node 22.7. Okay, now let me run npm run dev. Okay, and you see it started. So it says wait is ready and it's listening at localhost 5173. Okay, so let me open that. I'll open a new Chrome window and go to localhost 5173. Okay, so you can see that a wait sample application is running, and just to demonstrate how states are working in React.js, there is a sample thing which says count is 1. Okay, so if I keep clicking on it, it increments one by one, saying that how the state is stored and things like that. Okay, so with this we have completed let me minimize the terminal. Okay, we have completed the project scaffolding. Okay, fine. So project scaffolding done. Next, let's do entity setup. Okay, so what is entity? First of all, entity, if I go to https ant.design, you go to the actual entity website. Okay, so entity, what it is it's a component library. So what is the point of this? It's kind of like helping front-end developers to minimize writing like style sheets and all. Like you don't need to write many custom style sheets. So if I scroll down, so you see here, right? Ant design gives you a set of components already. So if you want to make a date picker, okay, so if you were to build this date picker by hand, it will take a lot of time to build all of this component. If you want to make a progress thing like this, right, that is going to take time. If you want to let's say make this tour, if you go into any new website, it will show tours like this, right, with how to do stuff. That will take time. This FAB, it's like floating action buttons, this will also. So if you want to bypass that level and do everything using a framework, that is where this ant design helps. Okay, so if I go to components, you can see all the components it has. So let me zoom in so that the mobile users can see. Okay, so I zoomed in. Now if you go down, see it has a lot of components like button, float button, icons, typography, layout, grid. So it has so many of these things. So if you want to make, let's say, tabs, if I go into tabs, I have to just copy this code and I'll get like tabs like this, very beautiful tabs. Okay, so this was kind of like the overview of why we are using ant design. Okay, so let's install it. So how to install it? In the development tab of ant design, if you keep scrolling down, it will show you how to install. Okay, so this is how you install. It's npm install antd and save. Okay, let me copy this command. If I go back here, let me bring up my terminal. I'll stop this application, Control C, and paste that, install. Okay, that's taking some time. Actually, Antd is notorious for being a very big library. Okay, I think that's why it took time. Okay, so it installed all of that, and now I should be able to use Antd. Okay, I'll run npm run dev again. Okay, oh, there is one more step we have to do. It will even say it here. So import in browser, right? I have to do this as well. So it says add script and link tags to your browser to use the global variable Antd. Okay, so we have to go to one of these, either cdn.js or js deliver, and get the library from there. Okay, so let me open cdn.js. Okay, and you see here it says antd.min.js, right? So I will take that. Let me click on, I don't know if it's big enough for the mobile users. Okay, okay, so you can see it says cdn.js, and then there is this antd.min.js. This is the primary library that we want. Okay, so there is this option for copy script tab. I'll just copy this. Okay, and I'll go to my code, and in here inside front end, inside task tracker front end, there will be an index.html file. Okay, I'll open this, and inside that, inside the head section, I'll hit enter and paste it. Okay, so option Z. Okay, so I just pasted the whole script tag here. Okay, this one. So you need not worry about what this is and all that it does is it will bring the entity support to your front end. Okay, that's it. Okay, so there are, why we did this in two levels is the first npm install that we did was for the React.js part. This next script thing we are doing is for the browser. So when it comes into the browser, it needs to know what these components are. So this script is what helps there. Okay. Okay. So with that, let me go back to this. Entity setup is also done. Okay. Fine. Now, so we have to make this layout, right? Like with the title first and then with 2-3 input boxes and then a button. So to make this layout, it's kind of, there is a template to do it. It's called as grids actually in CSS, and entity also gives us grids. Okay, so if I go to components, there will be see under the layout section, there is something called as grid, right? So I'll go inside it and then it will say what grids is. Okay, so in a very short summary they wrote it's a 24 grid system. So this number 24 is very important to remember. Okay, it changes from library to library. For entity it is 24, for bootstrap I think it is 8, for material way it's 12. I think it's like that, it keeps changing. So the other names I told just now, right? Bootstrap and material, these are like other component library framework, just like ant design. Okay, so I choose ant design because this has like a lot more components compared to the other ones. The other ones have basic components. This has a lot more. Okay, so you will see it as we do more design. Fine. So I'll give a quick overview of the grid system. Okay, so the grid system is like it's so just like every grid there are rows and columns. Okay, so each row, right, it is split into 24 parts. Okay, it's a constant number 24. Why 24 I don't know, but there are 24 parts. Now you can say to any component, to use, like, let's say half of it. So when you want to say use half of it, you say span to 12 12 columns. Okay, if you want to use full of it, you say span 24. If you want just quarter of it, you do by 4 of it, so you should say span to 6 columns. So this kind of arrangement or like layering of the layouting of your elements, right, that is what is the grid is used for, the grid system. Okay, CSS also has a grid system. This is closely related to that. Okay, so if you see our diagram, here we have it, right? So we are supposed to say that this should come in the middle and this should come in the first row. Okay, so if I were to say in like rows and thing, let me draw a red color. Okay, so this will be the first row. Okay, in this first row, how do I make it go back? Command, okay, arrow mark. Okay, it's not working. Okay, so this is the first row. Fine, then I'll say that next row should have all of these items. Okay, I can say like that, and then inside that items I will then say that this should be the next row. Okay, let me make it like green color or something. Okay, fine, I'll say that this should be the next row. Okay, and then I'll say this description is the next row. Okay, and then I'll say this button is the third row. Fine, so you see everything can be converted into rows and columns. Now where this column comes, so I said this title and priority should come in one row, right? But if you see, title is like 3/4 of it and priority is like 1/4 of it. So I can say that column 1 where you have the title should be like 3/4. Okay, so I can say it like that. It's not going. So you can say like title is 3/4 and then you can say priority is 1/4, right? So the columns. So as I'm doing it, you will understand. Okay, now I don't know if it's confusing. If it's confusing, just drop a comment. So when you are actually doing it, you will understand it. Okay, Okay, so that's the whole concept of grids. Okay, so understanding grids in Anti done. Okay, next let's create a basic to-do form with title, description, priority. Okay, so that is what the whole idea of this today's video is. Okay, so let's do that. So first thing, let me see if I ran the application. Yeah, the application is running at localhost 5173, right? So I will open localhost 5173. Okay, let me put this as off the screen in this one. Okay, I think that's as much as it goes, and I will zoom it out a little bit, the source code. Okay, so I'll close this to do and I'll close this index.html. Okay, and let me commit whatever I wrote now. I'll just say that initial commit for Frontend. Okay, and this readme is actually readme data. Okay, so I just committed those changes. Muhammad Papa, hey, hi, welcome to the stream. Okay, fine. So let's edit our, where is it? Under SRC, there'll be app.tsx. Okay, there are multiple files like app.css, app.tsx, index.css, all of this. But our goal is app.tsx. Okay, this is what has our main function. Okay, so let me open this and let me enable word wrap. Okay, so you see here what is happening. Whatever you see on the right side, right? This wait plus react and is written something. So that is what is on the left side. I mean the code for that. Okay, so let's say I remove all of this. We don't need any of it already actually. So I'll just remove all of it. Remove this also, and remove all of this unwanted stuff. Okay, and if I save it, see everything on the right side is gone. So there is something called hot module replacement, HMR, which will actually, as you are typing, as you are making changes and saving, it will reflect on the browser immediately. Okay, you need not recompile and restart the application or something. Okay, so Grace said hi Grace, welcome to the stream. Okay, so now let's build just the first item, right? The task tracker project's title. Okay, let's do that. So first thing I need to import is the row. Okay, so you need to understand that all all grids should start with the row. Okay, so you should never start with the column. It's like a rule. Okay, so you should put a row, and in that you have to build columns. You never start a column and then put row inside. Okay, so even if you're nesting items, right, nesting a grid inside a grid, it should always start with the row only. Okay, so remember that. Okay, that's like a important thing. Okay, so I mean if you do it otherwise, nothing bad will happen immediately, but then as you are developing your application, things will start to get weird. So always remember to, so if things are starting to get weird, you should immediately understand that it's because the column came first instead of the row. Okay, fine. So inside the row, what is the first column that we are going to put? We are going to say task tracker project's title, right? So let's do that. So we'll start a column. Okay, and then inside it, I'll say what did you want? A task tracker project. Okay, and if I save it, it should automatically come here. So it came here, right? Now it is coming here kind of in the middle of the screen. I don't want this. Why this is happening is because in the app.css there is some unwanted CSS. Okay, so let me go into app.css, and whatever is there inside app.css, right, I'll remove all of it. Okay, and I save. Okay, and it is still in the middle. Why is it still in the middle? I think there is index.css also. Okay, so there is one more file called index.css. I'll select all of it and remove that also. Okay, so now this is the most plain structure. Fine, it is simply showing test tracker project and all the row, column, everything. It's like, even the color went away, right? The color also came, the black color also came from the index.css and app.css. Okay, fine. So now let's design it to our will. Okay, so what do you say? Entity itself has a component called, so I'm going to use all the components from entity. Okay, just keep watching and like noting down what all components I'm using. Okay, so I'll open components here, and in here there will be one component called typography, right? This is what is used for writing text. Okay, so inside typography, if I go down, right, it's in Chinese because entity is a Chinese framework. Scroll down. Okay, so h1 ant design, this is there, right? So this is the typography I want now. So if I scroll a bit down in that section itself, there will be a show code thing. If I scroll down, it says this, right? So title, and then you wrap your whatever you want inside that. Okay, so let me add it, title. Okay, and it's coming from not the skeleton, I want it from typography title. Okay, and then inside that let me put this. Okay, fine. See, now it became like a title, very big and stuff. So you can even change this further. So that is too big for me, I'll make it a little bit smaller, like I'll make it like h3 or something. Okay, for that what I have to do is inside title just make level equals 3. Okay, and save it, and it became a little bit smaller. Okay, fine. So with this we built the first row. Where is this diagram, right? The first row we completed. Okay, so let's build the next row. So for that row, okay, same row again, and what should be inside row? There should be a column. Okay, fine. So by the way, don't put anything inside row out of it, like don't write the title here or anything like that. Okay, so everything should be inside a column. So all content should be inside a column, all columns should be inside row. Okay, so now inside the row what I'll do is I should build this whole architecture, right? So if you see, this is a this first row you see, right, with title and priority, that is a row inside this whole row. Okay, so it's a row inside a row. Fine, so I need to build another row inside this column. Okay, so I'll say row again. Okay, and inside this only I have to write my input box and stuff like that. Okay, okay, so let me go back to entity again. Okay, and let me look for input box. Where is input? Right, so it says here input, right? This is the input box I'm looking for, and inside this this is the basic input box that I want. Okay, so let me click show code and pick this up. Okay, so it says here input placeholder basic usage. Okay, okay, let me pick this and let me import this. Oops. Okay, so I have to import it from from entity itself. Okay, yeah, what happened? Okay, it got imported. Fine. It got imported from entity, right? This first line. So import call, input and row. So we imported column, rows and input from entity. Okay, so you see here it came here also, right? So I'll simply write here to do or like task. Okay, task title. Okay, so this is the place for entering the task title. Okay, so the first rows, I mean, let me go back to the diagram. So the first column is done. Now I have to write one more column where I can set the priority, right? So how to set priority? So priority is a drop down. So I don't know if drop downs are there in input or there's a separate item for it. Okay, I think it's a separate item. So let me go back to components and search for select. So it's there here, right? Select. So this select is drop down. So like you can select from a drop down menu for displaying choices. Okay, that's the point of select. Now if I scroll down, yeah, you see there are options here. Okay, this is the select that I want. Fine, so let me copy this and paste it here. Okay, I'll remove the on chain section. I'll come to that later. And what is happening here? I hadn't closed it, so I closed it just now. Okay, and let me import it. So select should also be imported from the entity library. Okay, so that is done. Okay, now if I save it, it should come here automatically. See, 2 items came, but why is it wrong? It's just saying oh. Is it like, okay, let me try to remove this span section. Maybe that's causing an error. Okay, and in here also, let me turn off ChatGPT for a while. I mean, like the Copilot for a while, it keeps disturbing. Okay, where is Copilot option? I think I need to make this screen bigger. Let me make it big once. Copilot, hey, Copilot snooze for, how do I say it? Okay, I'll just snooze it for 1 hour. Okay, fine. Back to, where was it? Here. Okay, so we have added 2 options, option 1, option 2, but it's not appearing here. Is it because it's too much zoomed in? Let me see. No, something else is wrong. So what is the problem? Let me see the source code of it. Okay, so if I expand the source code, it says select default value is this, and oh, I have to set the width. Okay, let me try that. Maybe it's like too small. Okay, so let me try with width equal to 120. Okay, now you can see the options, right? So it was too small to see. Okay, so fine. So we have, hey, didn't I? Okay, I should have created one more column here. See, noob mistake. Okay, so inside row, I said, right, there should always be a column. So this should be inside a column. Okay, this input, and then I have to create one more column to create the put this select tag. Okay, so if you see in our diagram, in this one row there are 2 columns. This is column 1, the title column, and priority is another column. Okay, so this will become 1 column. Now if you remember, I said one more thing about spans, right? So if you see here, this title column, I want it to be like 3/4 of the row, but the priority I want it to be like 1/4 of it. Okay, so remember the steps, there are 24 steps, right? So how much is 3/4 of 24? 12 plus 6, 18, right? So I have to say this first column, it should span to 18. Okay, and what is 18 minus 24? The remaining stuff, right? So I should say the next column should span to 1/4 this 6, right? Fine. So if I say it like this, then it will automatically do that. Okay, so let me show that. If I zoom it out, you will be able to see. Okay, so what is happening here is, I wanted it to take the full space, but it is not taking the full space. Okay, we will come to that. For that, I think we need to add one more tag called flex, I guess. Where should we add that? Here in row? No, in column. Yeah. Okay, let me try that here also. I mean, I'm not sure about this tag. Let's see. No, it's still not taking it. Okay, we'll come back to those, beautifications later. Okay, let's just fill the layout. Fill the layout, and we'll come back to that. Okay, so I mentioned the call spanning, and what is next? Or maybe it's because of the style. Let me remove this. No, that doesn't do anything. So I'll just say min width to be 120. Okay, so it should be at least 120, and after that whatever. And we'll fill this as well. Okay, so what are our priorities? They are low, high and medium, right? So let's start with low and the label is low. Okay, so if you see the difference between this capital low and small low, the value that needs to be sent to the backend, to the database, right? If you see in our post request, we were sending the value of the priority. Okay, let me show Bruno. So if I create a new task in here, you see I'm setting priority, right? You see this is in capital letters. So that is the value that I have to give that, the value that has to go to the backend. Okay, so that will be capital letter low. Then you have capital letter medium. Label should be what appears in this drop down. Okay, so in this drop down, whatever value appears, right, that is what this label means. So that I'll just write in normal sentence case so that people don't get scared of our application. See, low, medium, and one more is high. Okay, high. Okay, so you see we got all the 3 priorities. Fine. Okay, next what we'll do, we will create another row for putting the description. Okay, the description row should take the full field, full row. Okay, so for that, one row is done. Okay, and in the next row, okay, I have to create a column and then add the description, right? So description is an item called as component called as text area. Okay, so let me see how text area is there here. Text, oops, it's not there. So I think it's in input only. Then I have to say that it's a text area. Text area. So you see here, inside input there is a text area component. I'll expand it, and yeah, it's called as text area, and apparent probably text area is extracted from the input. Okay, fine. So I'll copy this, and after importing input is being imported here. After that I'll import text area also, and here I will add that. Okay, and it can be single self-closing tag, right? There's no inside item for it. Okay, and in the placeholder I'll write task description. Okay, fine. So you got the task description in the second row. Okay, so now it looks all ugly. Don't worry about that, we'll make it neater. So in the first row we have title and priority. Simply I'll select a priority. Okay, and we have task description, and the last row we should have create task, the create task button, right? So let's do that. So in the last row, okay, I'll have another column, and inside that I have to create the button. So button is another component here in the first component which is there in general, right? Button. And if I scroll down, yeah, there is primary button, default button, dash buttons, right? I want the primary button. Let me expand it, and if you see, this is the code to get the primary button type. So I'll copy this, paste here. Button type is primary, and I have to import this. Let me import it. Import from entity, right? So I have to import it from the entity. Okay, fine. Now inside primary button, I'll instead call it, what should we call it? Create task. Okay, create task. Okay, so the button also came and it's called as create task. Fine. Okay, so let me make this, maximize this. Okay, so we got a kind of what we are looking for, but this is very basic still. You see this is all sticking together, and it's not very beautiful looking. Okay, so what is the time now? Let's take a break, right? Yeah, we have been running for 45 minutes now, so let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll see how we can make this neat. Okay, so we will make it in such a way that it looks like this one, right? So you see the title is in the middle, and then this button is in the middle, and everything stretches to fit the screen. Okay, that is called as responsiveness. Okay, so we have to make this responsive so that it fits the screen and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll do that after the break. So if you guys have any questions or doubts in between, just drop it in the chat. Okay, and see you guys in 10 minutes. Okay, I'll start a 10-minute break time. Okay, thank you. Hello, hello. Yeah. Okay. So welcome back from the break. Let me just make sure all the settings are fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. And before the break, just for a quick recap, what we did is we designed the main components, the title input, the priority selector, and the description input text area, and a button. Okay, so we created these things, but these are not yet very beautiful. Nobody will like our application if this is how it looks like. Okay, so everything is sticking together, and like you see this thing is not responsive. If at all you see a scroll bar, it simply means that your application is not responsible. Okay, I mean responsive. Okay, so when you look inside like a mobile phone or something, then it will just get pushed like this. That's not correct. Okay, fine. So let's fix that thing. Fine. So the first thing we have to make sure is we have to make things fit into the given space. Okay, so now what it is doing is it is kind of overflowing the given space, right? So let me okay, yeah, let me do that. Let me show you what's happening. If I inspect, okay, so I right click on it, and if I click on inspect, you'll be seeing that there are flex components here, right? So if you see my first, let's come from the first one. Okay, so this is my first row. Okay, in the first row there is one column, and in that one column I have written the title, task tracker project. Okay, if I enable this flex thing, you can okay, it's not very visible. Let me keep it like this. Okay, so you can see that Manoj MX, hello sir, hello, hi, welcome to the stream. Okay, so you can see that only the task tracker project area is filled. The remaining area is just not being used. So if at all you see like grains, let me zoom into it. Okay, if at all you see like grain kind of thing, how do I show it? So you should be able to see the grains, right? There are small yellow dots. I don't know if it's very visible in the stream. It means that area is not used. Okay, so it will never be used, which means the this task tracker project text, right? It will never go to the center or to the right side. It will always stay on the left side only. Okay, left side of the screen. So we have to say to the column to use the full area, the full width. Okay, how do we say that? You set so there is something called as flex here, right? Flex. This flex we have to set it to 1, which will say to use the full area. So let me bring in VS Code here. Okay, so let me just, for the title column, I'll set flex equal to 1. Okay, I go back, and if I see this now, you see the full box is selected. Like in HTML div. Yes, correct. Like in HTML div. So you have to set, once you set that, you see the dotted lines disappeared, which means that it is going to fill in the whole area. So if there is one column, that column is going to fill the whole row. Okay, so that is what flex equal to 1 means. Now, how do I make it centered? So there is only one cell now, but that is not centered, right? So how do I make it centered? For that, where is my here? So in grids, right? So if I scroll down, there are this normal grids, horizontal responsive, all this stuff. Okay, so so you see sub element align center. So this is what I want. So the elements inside the rows are aligned in the center, right? So I have to use this now. So how do I do that? If I go to the source code, okay, if I go to the source code, it says sub element align left. No, not this. We want sub element align center. Okay, so what it's saying is row justify center. This is all that we have to do. Okay, so let me copy this justify center and go back to the code. Let me put this also to here. Okay, so for this row we have to set that the justify center, so that the items inside will be in the center. Okay, so once I set that, you will see one more thing here. It didn't become center now. Why did this happen? So by setting flex equal to 1, I set it to fill the whole area, right? Now there is no area to make it center. So actually I should bring back this flex equal to 1. Okay, I have to actually put flex equal to 1 in the other items. By mistake I put it here. Okay, so if I change that, you see it became in the center. So all the unused areas went to the left and right, but the only used area came into the center, right? Okay, Now how much ever I zoom in or how much ever I zoom out, that will always be in the center of it. Okay, so that is how the responsiveness works, right? So even if I make this window small or big, or look it in a phone or an iPad or tablet, wherever I see, it will always be in the center. Okay, so that's the whole point of the responsive design. Okay, now let's see the next item. So the flex equal to 1 actually comes in use here only. By mistake I put it there. Okay, sorry. Okay, so for the next in the next row, right, the next row is this task title and priority. These priorities are there in this next row. In there I want to set this calls flex equal to, okay, flex equal to 1. If I set this 1, now you see it's stretched to fill the rest of the container. So if I'll remove this flex and I'll show this flex now. No, not this flex. This first row. Okay, this first row, I'll zoom it in a bit. Okay, this first row. Okay, if you see, it is now kind of filling the whole area. But if you closely observe this medium, this what do you say, selection, drop down selection button, it is still not filling the full area. It is kind of filling only the half of the area. We have to make that also to work. So why that is doing that is because I said that the width is 120, right? So that is why. So I'll remove this. Okay, and in this one also I'll set the flex equal to 1. Okay, and this column also I'll say flex equal to 1. Okay, so wherever there's a column, if you want it to fill, stretch the remaining stuff, just set flex equal to 1. Okay, so it didn't do that. So if you see, even now it didn't stretch to fill the full area, so there is like a small gap here. Okay, so what we have to do for that is you have to set the style of the select button. Okay, so the style of the select button, I have to set it to fill the given area. Okay, so how to do that? Set style equal to, and then set width and set it to 100%. Okay, and now if you see the drop down button, it is actually filling all of the given container. Okay, someone says, sir, can you tell me any code editor like VS Code in mobile, please? Sorry for interrupting, I'm a student, but I don't have desktop, so I want something in mobile. You can get VS Code in mobile as well. So if you go to GitHub, right, go to GitHub, and if you click on the code drop down, right, you will have something called codespaces. Okay, if you go to codespaces, it will generate a, it says create codespace on master, right? This will give you a VS Code on the browser itself, so you can do that there. So you just turn your phone in like landscape mode, and you can kind of work with it, but it's still going to be complicated. You can try that. Okay, fine. So where was I? Yeah, so now we have made the second row responsive. Okay, so now you will see the magic. If I zoom out, okay, see, it keeps stretching to fill. If I zoom in, it keeps stretching to fill. Okay, so never will I ever reach a situation where something is going off or something, things like that. So that is the beauty of this responsive design. Okay, so second row is down. Now let's go to the third row. Okay, so I want this task description also to kind of fill the whole area. Okay, so if you see in my diagram, I have this description also to fill the full area, right? So what do? As usual, you come to that column where the text area is there. Okay, the description is there, and you say flex equal to 1. Okay, so you see task description is also filling all the corners. You can see, right, like this, it will fill. Okay, and the last item is create task. You see, I want it in the middle. Where is it? In this diagram, you see the create task button. Okay, this is a button. I want it to be in the middle of the screen. Okay, like this. So for that, what I'll do is, just like how we put this item in the middle, right? So create task button also is now, you see there is so much unused stuff. So all these dashed lines are unused. Okay, so same like how I did justify center for the title, here also for the row I should set justify equal to center. Okay, if I go back, now create task button came in the center. Okay, so with this we have done some basic layouting. Okay, and still one thing left is see, everything is sticking together. there is no gap here. It looks very ugly, right, with everything sticking together. So for that there is something called as gaps, and I forgot where to add that. Let me quickly check it. Gutter. So see, there is this thing called gutter. So when you say gutter spacing, okay, I'll just set gutter XS8. Okay, you can set a single number also. Okay, let me try this. I don't know how good it will work. Let's see. So for this row, gutter equals, let's say 16. I did nothing. Is it an array? No. Okay. Yeah, that also did nothing. Oh, it's because it is supposed to be in the next row. It's supposed to be in the inside one. Okay. Yeah, it kind of did some gap stuff, but it's still not very beautiful. Okay, I'd rather add padding. Okay, that will be more easier, or like margins. Okay, so what I'll do is, to each of these rows, right, I'll add margins. Okay, that should help. Manoj MS says, okay sir, thank you. Okay, so let's start with that. I need it here. In this row, the first column, I'll set margin. It comes in style. Okay, so style equal to margin, and I will set it to like what, 4px should be fine, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, it did a nice, this small gap is what I wanted. Okay, I will have to now add it to all the other items also. So margin 4px, this column also I will add 4px. Okay, so see, this became like this. But 4px now looks too much. It became, because it added 4px here and 4px here, which became like 8px. So I'll just make it 2px. Okay, fine, this looks cool. And I'll add the same margin to the this column also, where the text area is there. Okay, so that also has some gap now. And now to this column where the button is there, I'll add one more margin. Okay, fine. So you see there is some kind of gaps now. It looks pretty good enough. Okay, so we will stop the styling here. Okay, if we keep styling, we can keep styling. So I'll just stop the styling here. Okay, so this is how our application is kind of going to look like. So I will see now, if I make this box small also, it is going to stretch to fit, right? Shrink to fit. Okay, and if I make this big also, it will do this automatically. Okay, I need not do any kind of extra work for this. Okay, so if you see, if I go too small, it becomes weird. That is because there is no device this small. Also, I am zoomed in way out of proportion. Okay, so if I see, this is how it is, and I can even see how it will look like in a mobile device. Let me quickly show that. These are like things you guys need to remember. So whenever you make a site, always make it designed for mobiles. Okay, like a mobile device. They call it mobile first design actually. So if you make something designed to mobile, it will automatically work. It will usually automatically work in desktops or like laptops also. Okay, so try to do that. Now, what was I going to do? So in here in Google Chrome, there is this button called as, what is this called? Toggle device toolbar, right? So if I enable this, it comes into something like this. Okay, so now in here I can change the dimension, and let's say I just selected, it's already an iPhone 12 Pro kind of device is selected. So if I see my website in an iPhone 12 Pro, it will look like this. Okay, so you see it will look, on the top you have this items. Okay, so that responsive design we checked. Let me turn this off. Okay, and let me put this next to my Chrome. No, next to my VS Code. Okay, fine. So I'll keep it like this, and we will do the rest of the items. Okay, so what I'll do next is, with this design is done, right? Let me go to my TODO and see what is next. So create a basic to-do form with title, description, priority is done. Okay. So the form design is done, but I think we have some more time in today's session. How much time is left? It's only 1 hour 12 minutes. Okay. So we'll go 45 more minutes. Okay. So I'll just show you guys now how we can actually add a task to our DB. Okay. So let me commit this, whatever I did so far. Basic form creation complete. Okay, now what I'll do is I will first of all go to Bruno and just quickly look what all I need. Okay, so this is how I need to build my request now. Okay, I need the title, description and status. Okay, priority. I'll cut this and put it down. Okay, so the status is optional. The status I'll set it as to do by default because there are 3 statuses: to do, in progress and done. Okay, so when you create a to do item, by default it is in the to do mode only, right? It's not yet in progress or done. Okay, so I'll do that, and you see there is one more item called due date which you can select. That I will do it in a separate stream. Okay, because date picker and like working with dates is going to be complicated. I don't want to confuse you guys with all of that for now. Okay, so let's do a simple this kind of request. Okay, now how to make a request in front end in React.js. In React.js or in HTML, there is this thing called as fetch. Okay, the function called fetch. If I go to App.tsx, I'll write a function here. Okay, const get or like create a to do. Okay, equals. Okay, and if I call here, there is something called as fetch. You see this function called fetch. What this does is it can create HTTP requests or like REST requests to a backend server. Okay, so in this fetch, I'll say fetch from. Now I need my Bruno nearby. Okay, so fetch from or like fetch to HTTP localhost 8080 API task. So this is where my backend server is running, right? Let me copy this and I'll paste it here. Okay, so when I call fetch, it will call that endpoint. Okay, then in that I have to pass the body also. Okay, so how do I pass the body? So yeah, see, I passed in the URL, then there is request in it. Okay, so this is where I pass the body. So in the body, let me just make a dummy request for now. Okay, so in the body, I'll just pass these items. Okay, I'll pass these items. Okay, why is this failing? Let me set low. No. Okay, ignore that. I'll just set status and remove status and due date. Okay, these 3 items. Okay, I'm hard coding them for now. After that, we will actually enter data here and push it into the DB. Okay, I don't know why this is showing an error. Type low is not unassignable to request priority. Did you mean low? Oh. Okay, this is wrong syntax. Let me just quickly look it up. Okay, how to make a post fetch call from React.js with JSON body. Okay, oh, you were supposed to say method and then put post headers. If you have any headers, you put the header and then body and then give the body. Okay, so this is supposed to be like 3 different items. Okay, so inside the JSON I have to like give all this. Fine, so let me do that. So inside this JSON, let me cut this. Okay, method is going to be post. Okay, and then body is going to be this dummy body. Okay, is this failing again? Let me see. Oh, I'm supposed to send a string data. Okay, so I'll cut this again. I'll just do JSON dot stringify and then pass the JSON body that way. Okay, so this will be the JSON body because apparently I'm supposed to send only string items, not the object itself. And then one more thing I want to send is the header. Okay, I'll just copy this header. The header says that the request is of the type application. Oops, I didn't want this comment. Okay, so it's going to say to the server that the content type is going to be application JSON. Okay, so this is the dummy request that we are going to send. Okay, so no matter what data is entered here, this is the request that will go. Okay, it will simply say buy groceries with milk, bread and low priority. Now I'll call this function. Okay, I'll copy this function name and I will call it in the button. So whenever someone clicks the button, I want that function to be called. Okay, so how to do that? In the button, add an attribute called on click. Okay, and give the function name here. Fine, that's it, simple. Okay, fine. So let's do that. Let me first of all start the backend server, STS, right? So going back to Java again. So on TODO, this is our backend application. Right click, run as Spring Boot application, Spring Boot app. Okay, fine. The app is started TODO app in 1.4 seconds. Okay, it's running now. Let me open developer console. Okay, right click inspect and go to the tab called as network tab. Okay, so I know I'm covering a lot of items here. Okay, so if you guys are confused with any of it, just let me know. Okay, so in the network tab, any request that is going out will be shown. Okay, so let me expand it a bit. Now let me click on the create task button. Okay, as soon as I clicked it, you see a request went. Okay, let me expand this. You see a request went, but then it kind of failed. Okay, it failed with an error saying course error. Okay, this is not supposed to happen. Okay, one good thing is at least the request tried to execute. Okay, let me make this full screen. I'll do full explanation there. Okay, the request at least tried to go. Okay, so it went, it tried to go, but then it failed with an error called as course error. Okay, so let me explain course. Okay, course is a very frequently occurring word that you'll hear in like REST applications, and you try to understand it from the basics. Okay, so course says, the full form of course is cross origin resource sharing. Okay, it says here, right? It says here cross origin resource sharing error. So what it means is you are in the domain called as localhost 5173. Okay, this is your domain. The domain includes both the IP and the port. Okay, so I am in localhost 5173. Where is the backend server running? The backend server is running. Okay, I'll show it here itself. The backend server is running in localhost 8080. Okay, the domain changed. Now when something a request invokes from one domain to another domain, by default the browsers don't allow it. Okay, this is a Shivam. Hi Shivam, welcome to the stream, long time no see. Okay, so browsers have the security feature where it won't allow you to send a request to something that is not your domain. Okay, unless the server accepts it. Okay, so to the server you should say allow cross origin request. So if the server allows it, you can do it. Otherwise by default it's going to strictly block it. This is a security thing. Okay, so now if you want to know why this thing blocking is happening, I think you have to probably Google it or something, but this is the default behavior. Now how are we going to solve this? To solve this in Spring Boot, in our application, right? So the solution is usually always on the backend only. Okay, so that also you have to remember. If you have any client server, if you have Python server, right, they're also on the server only. You have to fix it. You can't fix anything on your local host, if at all. Okay, that is option one, right? The second option is you can deploy this front end on the same server where the backend is running. Okay, in that case what will happen? The front end will also be running on localhost 8080. The backend will also be running on localhost 8080. Okay, In that case also there won't be any CORS error because it's the same domain. There is no cross origin, the origin, right? It's not changing. So it will be fine. Okay, so these are the two solutions. So now that we have a handle over our front-end Spring Boot server, I'll simply make it allow all the requests. Okay, so I'll just that is actually boilerplate code. I'll just Google it, how to allow CORS star in Spring Boot app. Okay, you should actually add a configuration. So you see here global CORS configuration. Okay, so this is what we have to add, and you see it is saying it actually defines a bean, which is the WebMVC configurer, and what it says is any request, okay, any request that comes from any endpoint and it's from any origin, and if it's of any method types like get, post, put, delete, any of it, then you allow everything. Okay, which means that we are simply unblocking our application to receive any kind of request. Okay, this is insecure when you host it on the internet. Okay, on the internet what you should ideally be doing is say that requests that come from specific domains, specific origins should be allowed. Okay, but now that this is a development server, we are just blindly allowing anything, everything to request our application. Okay, so let me simply copy this file and go into Spring Boot. Where is Spring Boot? Okay, Spring Boot STS. Zaid Siddiqui said hi. Hi Zaid. Okay, so here I'll create a class and call it, what is it called? Web config. Okay, I'll call it CORS config. Okay, CORS config. Then I'll paste everything that I copied, and I have to change the class name to CORS config. Okay. Okay, so this you guys can simply Google this also. You'll get this configurator, okay, which will allow everything. Okay, so I wrote this. Let me enable word wrap and make sure and there are no errors. And let me restart the server. Okay. Okay, the server restarted successfully. Now if I go back and I need not do anything on the front end, I simply fire the request again. Okay, I cleared. So this X bar will clear the requests, existing ones. If I click on create task now, you see you got a 201. Your task got created. Okay, a task got created, and the response tab, if you see, a task with ID 11 got created. Okay, and you see the status is set to null, due date is set to null because we didn't pass those two items. Everything else got filled, right? The title, description, and the priority also became null. Low. Okay, so we have created a basic dummy, what do you say, request to the backend, and we have created a task also. Okay, so that was how fetch basically works. Okay, we saw how fetch works and how we can make a post request. Next, what we will do is we will actually get data from our input, right? So we made 3 input boxes here. Where is it? So we made like 1, 2, 3 input boxes here, right? So from these input boxes, we'll get the value, and then we will send it to the backend. Okay, that will be more interesting now. Now let's see how we can do that. Okay, so now let's get into the department of states in React. Okay, so React has this thing called as states, where you can store the state of the application. So the whole React, or like the reactive any framework, right? Any reactive framework, it works on the concept of state only. So you need to understand what states are. Now let's say you are changing, I'm typing a name title here like study React.js. Okay, let me zoom in. Study React.js. Okay, this is my title. Now when I type this title, what is happening? I am changing the state of the application. The state of the application is that I am editing the title of it. Okay, so if I change the priority, I am editing the priority to low. Okay, if I change the description, I am changing like the priority of it, like study fast, something like that. So I'm changing the description of it. Every time I change any input or like any item in the application, is kind of like I'm changing the state of it. Okay, so now whenever state changes, I can say my application to react to it. So that is where the word react even comes from. Okay, so I can say the application reacted to it by doing X and Y, like do some X, Y, Z. Okay, so I can say that. So now what we are going to say is, we are going to define some state variables and store the state changes into it. Okay, and when we have to actually submit the create task function, we'll simply take all of the new states, or like the current state which got changed, and submit it there. Okay, so more than saying it, I'll rather do it. Okay, do it and show. So for states, React.js, what it gives is something called as useState. Okay, so const, I'll store the title and set title. Okay, I'll show first how to just store title. Okay, equal to useState. Okay, useState comes from the React library itself, and initially I'll set it to empty. Okay, empty. Fine. So I'll just start with title and show how it's done. Then I will show for the other items. Okay. So now there are two items here, right? Title and set title. Title is the actual state variable which stores the value of the title field. Okay. Set title, what it does is it will update the title field. Now, why is there a separate function called set title? You can simply do title equal to something like hello world. Okay, I can do this right anywhere. It is supposed to work, right? But yeah, that is correct also. It will work also. But then your whole application wouldn't be notified that a state changed. So that is why you have a set title. So when you call the set title function, your whole React application knows that the state of the title changed. Okay. Okay. So too much talking. Let me do it. So if I go to my task title, right? Okay, I'll make it task title so that nobody gets confused. Task title and set task title. Okay, so for task title, I have my input variable here, right? So here I'll set its value is task title. Okay, then I should set the getter. So this is kind of the getter. I should also do the setter, which is the set task title, right? So for that, what I should say is on change. So whenever someone changes the value in this input field, I should invoke a function calling, or I can actually simply just do this set task title. Okay, I think this will work. Let me see. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. So what I'll do is I'll call a function here. Okay, and then say this on change will actually give me an event. Okay, and I'll say set task title to event dot target dot value. Okay, so this is kind of boilerplate. What it means is that whatever value I am typing into this input box, okay, that should be set as the new task title. Okay, okay, so let me demonstrate this now. There is one more thing called as useEffect. Okay, so that is where whenever a state changes, the useEffect gets called. Okay, let me show you the syntax of it. And I'll say task title. Okay, I'll write the whole function on it. Okay, console.log. Oops, sorry, task title. Okay, so what is this useEffect actually doing here? What it does is it takes in two arguments. Okay, the first one is the callback function. Okay, and the second argument is the dependencies. Okay, dependencies it's called. Let me see, I forgot. Yeah, dependency list. Okay, dependencies it is. Now what it will do is whenever task title changes, this useEffect gets called. Okay, I said right, your application reacts to changes in the state. So this is the state variable that we are looking for, the dependency variable. Whenever task title changes, it will log the value of task title at that point. Okay, that is all we are doing. Now let me just demonstrate it. Okay, let me open the console. You can hit F12 in your browser also. That will also open the developer console. Let me go to the console part, clear this. Okay, and I'm writing the title. Okay, see, as I'm typing, you see it's getting printed in the console below, right? So I didn't say anywhere like if title dot changes then show it or something. No, I didn't do anything like that. I'm simply saying that whenever the state of on change, where is that? On change of this input field, the title input field, I am setting the task title to this. Okay. So what it does is whenever I change this, okay, changed. Okay. Whenever I change it, it actually changes the state. And who is looking at that state? This useEffect guy is looking, like constantly watching, monitoring the task title. Okay. And whenever it changes, he immediately does his job. So his body, I simply wrote log the value of task title, right? So, and it logs it. Okay. So this is very, very basic one of how state variables work. Okay, fine. Now that we have handled the task title change, what will we do next? We will send it to the backend. Okay, just for demonstrating that. Okay, so this create task to do function is there, right? So this I wrote it outside the app functional component. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll cut that, because anything that uses the state should be inside this app functional component. Okay, so I'll paste it in here. Okay, and create a to do. So in here, what I'll say is title I set it as hard coded by groceries, right? Instead, what I'll do is like I'll just put the task title here. Okay, fine. Now I'll go back here. I'll clear all this. I'll comment out this console log also, otherwise it will simply clutter my log. Okay, and I'll go back and I'll say, let's say study spring. Okay, now I'll go to my network tab. Okay, you see now these things also will change. Okay, let me set it to high. These things also will change, but these other two things, right, the priority and the description, they won't be sent to the backend. Okay, you see that I mean they won't be this value whatever I type here. Okay, let me clear this and let me create the task. Okay, so if you come back down, task got created, id 12, and you see here the title became study spring. So whatever value I entered into the title field was got sent into the backend. Okay, beautiful, clear. So if you see description is still milk bread and the status is still, priority is still low, even though I set it high. We don't care about that for now. Okay, we will do that next. Okay, so let me just do the same thing for the rest of the state variables. Okay, so what is that? Task title, right? Next is const. Just copy this. Task description, and this will be set task description. Okay, and yeah, it will be empty in the beginning. So oh, by the way, I think I didn't mention this. So why this double quote is, this just says that initialize the state with an empty string. Okay, if you give some value here, okay, let me just give some initial value. Okay, if I do this, then if I refresh this page, whenever I refresh, okay, I'm actually refreshing the page. Even if I refresh, this state just starts with that whatever some initial value I gave. Okay, so I don't want that. Initially this should be empty, so let me remove this. Okay, okay, so task description, and the last thing is task priority, right? Task priority comma set task priority to, for this by default I will set it to low. Okay, so by default the task priority will be low. Okay, now now we have declared all the state variables. Let's use them. So task description will be the value for, where is it, this one, where is it, where is the description, here. Okay, so here value is task description, and on change, the same on change. Okay, it will give me an event, and I will take that set task description to that event dot target dot value. Okay, so with that we have added a state to description also, and I will use this task description as the description that we send to the backend. Okay, so now I can put here not milk bread, I can send task description all the time. Okay, and then priority. So for priority, in here priority I think is going to be a bit more complicated than that. Let me see. So value is going to be task priority, okay, and what is a on change, okay, for any event I'll say set task priority to e dot target. Oops. You see target didn't come, so I think it will just be e dot value. Hey, why is this not working? E dot text. I think the value itself comes as it is. Okay. Okay, so now actually I want to debug and see what will be the value of e here. Okay, so how can I do that? We have our favorite, useEffect function, because I don't know what is coming there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take task priority. Whenever task priority changes, I'll print task priority. Okay, so let me come back here to developer console and let me try to change it. Let me make it medium. If I go to console now, it comes as a JSON object saying task priority : medium. Okay, so I think I have to, oh no, sorry, it was just a string. So let me just print the value. Okay, we print this value, clear this, it's to high. So you see just the word high came. Okay, so that is what I wanted anyway. So in set task priority I can simply set e. Okay, fine, all done. So I can copy this task priority now, and in here in priority I'll set this to task priority. We have beautifully completed everything. One more thing, I'll just make the status by default to be to do. Okay, so that whenever any new task get created, I'll set the status as to do by default. Okay, that I can hard code. I don't need to ask that as an input here in our form, because you can't create a done status, right? It should be to do by default. Okay, fine. So all of this is looking beautiful. Let me go back here, just do a refresh just for namesake. That is not needed actually, because as I said, hot module replacement, it will keep refreshing. Okay, so let me write here study React JS, and I'll say from Fastorial. Okay, so I'll set the priority also to high, and let's try creating this. Okay, let me clear all the network items, and let me send the request, create task. Okay, and if I see here the request went, we got 201, which means it got created. And if I see the response, ID 13, the title was study React JS, and description was from Fastorial. Status by default becomes to do, and priority, as I said, it became high priority. Okay, we can even do a get by ID and see whether this is there in the DB. Okay, so I'll go to Bruno, which is connected to my backend, and there is get task by ID, right? So for ID, I will pass 13. Okay, and if I submit this request, you see our item is there. So our to do got persisted into the DB forever. Anybody can look at ID number 13 and they'll get whatever task which we just added from the front end. Okay, so this was a very short and cute and beautiful starting to beginning to the front end journey. Okay, so if you guys have questions, just let me know. In the next part, we will be looking at showing existing tasks below. Okay, in this blank space, right? Yeah, in this blank space below, you can you will be able to see all the existing items and mark them as done. Okay, so that is what we will look in the next part. And after that, as per the module, plan, as per the module plan, after that we will containerize the application using Docker. I'll explain how to Dockerize the application, and we will also deploy it on Google Cloud Run, okay, and GitHub pages, so that you can even add it to your resume and say like, wow, I finished a to-do project. Okay, so this will be a full stack project. Okay, so if you guys have questions, just post it in the chat now. I will, run the stream for 5 more minutes. I'll be pushing this code to the GitHub and things like that. If you guys have doubts, I'll clarify it. Okay, and the remaining will be done tomorrow. Stay subscribed and hit the bell if you want to be notified whenever I start the stream. Okay, I'll probably start it by around 8 or 9 o'clock as per your liking. So if you guys want the stream at some specific time, just let me know. I haven't figured out yet what time to stream regularly every day. Okay, see you guys. Okay, I have added the links. I don't see any questions in the chat anyway. Okay, fine then. See you guys tomorrow then. Hope you guys come prepared. Okay, I suggest you guys, clone this project and then try to do it yourself as well. At least try to run it in your local host and see, how fiddle with the requests and see how things are going on. Okay then. Thank you guys. Thank you all for joining. Have a good night. See you tomorrow around the same time. Okay. Thank you. Bye.